So we want to welcome everybody today. This is kind of a focused effort today, and we'll explain why that is. But we really want to welcome you guys for joining us today. Today I got Daniel Thompson. He'll be handling some of the specific questions for eStudy and some of the things we're trying to accomplish for you guys. Jamie Blackburn is the director over at iAdvantage as well, and I'm the GovBrief host. So I am just here to help facilitate incorporating this. It will include a GSA vendor. That's you. That's you guys, right?
That's right.
So GSA vendor, product information for a pilot that is going to the e-enterprise components of EPA. This is a really cool opportunity for folks here. We want to hear what you need in order to do this. And so a blanket disclaimer from GSA is required. So you see it here. It's not endorsed by GSA. Your participation is voluntary, and it's not a commitment to buy from anybody. How you like that? So we were, and as I mentioned, this is an objective to establish pilots in support of you, scientists, researchers, and data collectors. A lot of folks are that's what you do. And the E-Enterprise Leadership Council, EELC. Now, if you're not familiar with them, the handouts and the session documents and what E-Enterprise is all about and the Exchange Network, it is a way to kind of get your hands around managing data and your whole enterprise system, right? Data and your enterprise system so that you can all coordinate. And we'll talk about some of that, but we're going to do a submission, we're going to do a review, and we're going to do awards of pilots as part of this. It's going to take a little bit, nothing really moves real fast, but that's the objective here today, to establish pilots to support you. So why in the world did you guys decide to join us today? And you're here because you're in R&D and you have a current data collection need? Are you in management and you want your data to work? Are you tired of scrubbing bad data? Everybody should pick that. But I'm in procurement, and I want to know about eStudy, or my boss made me come. And we know there's going to be at least one Weisenheimer that chooses the boss made me come. And we have somebody that's been here before, so welcome back for sure. So tell us a little bit about iAdvantage, how you guys got started. I know you're down in the triangle, the North Carolina triangle, that is.
That's right, Dave. Yeah, so iAdvantage is a software company that was founded way back in 2003. Like Dave said, we're headquartered here in Cary, North Carolina. Our specialty is the software that we have developed, which focuses on data capture. We have over 30 years of experience in it. So that handles everything from capturing the data, managing the data, to even reporting out the data. A lot of the data that our software has supported has gone to regulatory agencies like USDA, EPA, and even the FDA. We are a small business, and also, like you mentioned earlier, we are a GSA schedule holder.
There you go. And so it's actually a family. It's your grandfather that's started, right?
Right. All those years ago, he had a great idea to start software before anybody else even thought of software to solve these problems. So we were way ahead of the game.
Way ahead of the game. God bless him. All right, we're going to end this poll in 3, 2, 1. No wallflowers. Actually, you can be a wallflower if you want to, but that's all right. All right, so we got this. So who's we got? Everybody 40-40 in management and want my data to work, and I'm tired of scrubbing data. And we have folks that are in R&D, 20% of the folks. Fantastic. Sorry, excuse me. As I mentioned, there are session docs, and these session docs, they include the briefing presentation, just like you asked for, and some of the capabilities of what the eStudy is about, and some of the things that are drivers, like the FAIR Act. And if you're not familiar with e-enterprise, with EPA, it's pretty cool what they're doing. So take a few minutes when you get a chance, take a look at those if you want to understand a little bit more about the e-enterprise for the environment. We love participation. You can pop stuff in the Q&A. You can raise your hand. We will engage. We're not afraid. We're not afraid to answer questions live. And we love that. If you want to if you have something you don't want everybody and their mother to see, you can send it to info@iadvantagesoftware.com. It'll make its way to Daniel and Jamie, and they'll be able to address your concerns directly. So this is one of my favorite things, is that when you have a new initiative within an agency to say, and this is just give you a high level overview of e-enterprise and what's happening with EPA. I highlighted them or underlined them, simultaneously address. That means we want to have everybody kind of working together in a collaborative relationship, so that we're kind of removing some of the stovepipes, and you can see some of the additional pieces here to provide states and tribes, as well as incorporating you, the user, the folks that are using this, whether you're in management or whether you're on the front lines, heading up studies or collecting data from scientists. That's what we're all about, right, Jamie? That's what we want.
That's
we want
right.
to get your perspective of what's important, because oftentimes, shocking as it may be, sometimes the folks at the top really don't understand what's needed from the people that are doing the work.
That's right.
Just saying, probably not in your organization. I don't want to offend anybody here. But here we have a greater efficiency and effectiveness by streamlining and simplifying the process. How many of us do want to simplify the process? We definitely don't want to complicate the process, and we human beings complicate things every day, don't we, Daniel?
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, we do. So, prevent or eliminate backlogs, avoid duplication of efforts. Come on now. Somebody's got to say amen to that one. Duplication of efforts and accomplish important environmental goals. This is part of your mission. Meeting those environmental goals, making sure that the data is clean, making sure that the data is usable and reusable, and achieve improved measurable environmental progress and results. That's your mission. And that's what this whole thing is about. Ultimately, it has to start. Doesn't it, Jamie? It has to start with clean data. Because one of the questions we had was what? Hold on, let me find it. I like the conundrum one from Shay, but this one has to do with can it be used? What was it? It was, can you use it on unstructured data, right?
That's right.
And that's a problem. It's a huge problem. And they're throwing AI at it, and AI, well, we can talk about that. So this is why we have the problem, right, Jamie? Let's talk.
That's right. So yeah, so everyone, we've been doing these briefings now for some time, and we've met a lot of great people, really smart people doing smart work out there, and we're all challenged by the same thing, which is we're growing as we speak more and more data, right? So an exabyte, if you put it in a relationship, an exabyte was the size of the Earth. I'm sorry, if a gigabyte was the size of the Earth, the exabyte would be the size of the sun. So every day we're going 463 new of these, right? And it's growing and it's growing, and we're having to do more with it. We're having to extend the life of it. When you collect data, you have to make sure that it's not just for today. It's so that it's useful later, because I don't know about you, but being asked twice is somewhat painful when you're asked the same question. We have poor documentation. We talked a little bit about FAIR coming down the line, which is going to make it reusable and more integrated into the future. It's really hard to continue. I think one of our attendees is a data scientist. It's really hard to take that data and convert it into insights. That's a very hard job. And the worst thing you can have is data that maybe is not respectable of what you want to use it for. So we're all the agencies are dealing with the same challenge, which is not only do we have all this massive collection, it's going to continue and grow, and we'll see more of it as time goes on. So we got to make sure that we're ready for it, and we're doing the right things, because we don't want to collect data just for the sake of collecting it.
Absolutely. And I love what you just said, that reusable, and that's one of the things for the e-enterprise, what EPA e-enterprise is all about, making sure that it's reusable, right? If there's anything that they want, is to not have to collect that data again or be stuck somewhere that it can't be used by other stakeholders. So we're actually going to be applying scientific methodology. So I love this because a lot of scientists are here or be watching this. So tell us how this works. So scientific methodology, what does that mean, by the way? What is scientific methodology?
Well, basically, the scientific methodology, most people know what it is, especially if you're in the science realm. But basically, it's being premeditated about all the things that you do and knowing what you want your outcome to be and planning ahead of time. And when we started the software over 30 years ago, it was designed by a group of our internal scientists that needed the product. And so they built the product from the ground up, applying the scientific methodology. So we like to say that the entire workflow of our product, and it should be one that you use in any product that you use or any processes that you go through when collecting data, is applying the scientific methodology. Because what good is your data going to be if you don't think about the repercussions and how it's going to turn out in the end? So we kind of lay it out in 4 steps. The first step we have is obviously you need to define the problem, or define what your data requirement is going to be in order to start this process. The second one being actually design the data collection process that you're going to use to answer the problem. And what does that look like? For us, designing looks like reducing repetitive tasks and allowing the individual to be creative, whether that's a scientist, a technician, whatever scientist you have working on it. A lot of times it's going to be a scientist working on it. One big feature of our software is being able to quickly create studies. So you don't want to have to fill in a formulation. You don't have to fill in an active ingredient from scratch every time. Being able to reuse things and be able to create those quicker. Another one, especially being in a big agency, is making sure that the data is secure. And also that if it's protected data, make sure that the IP of that data is well secured.
Love it. And then once you get it, you have to manage it, right?
Right. So whether that's
even before you get it, you got to start to plan for managing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, I know we see it all the time where we have a study director, a study planner, will be working on and have a data collection in process, and they see an anomaly. You want to be able to react to that. Now, if you're doing data collection on a spreadsheet, if you're doing it on paper, it's a lot harder to react to those things. So being able to manage the process in real time is always going to be a benefit to you.
Love it. So let me ask. So we already know what probably the answer is going to be here. So, but we're going to ask you anyway, because we ask everybody this: is how do you collect your data? What's your process for doing it? And you can use the scientific methodology in any one of these, right? It can be overlaid, but it becomes more difficult.
Oh yeah. That's the whole premise of our presentation, no matter what software you use. Yeah. The scientific process definitely takes you down a linear format as best could be, because, as you know, nothing's worse than being asked on Monday and then being asked again Tuesday because there was some clarification need.
There's no doubt about it. And this goes to the structure. There's one here from Sean. The software addresses development and management of structured data standards and harmonization. I love that. I don't know if you just made that up, Sean, but that is awesome. So when we get into collecting this, so this goes to the uniformity, right? This goes to the standards. The standard should be the scientific methodology. Is that what I just heard?
Yep.
Love it. Absolutely. Yeah. One big topic right now is having open data standards. And I think that's what, the E-Enterprise Council is really going for with this initiative is making sure that they have agency-wide open data standards, which makes sure that, every time you collect address, every time you collect something, it's uniform. It's going to look the same each time. And it really makes your life a lot easier on the back end when you actually have to get value out of the data. So some key points that we have here for when you're collecting data. It's really important to be able to collect from either multiple labs or geographies, depending on what kind of collection you're doing. We have seen a growing need for online and offline collection. So depending on the location you're doing, I know a lot of the work that we've done has been in a field or some sort of outdoor setting where network is not always available. So having that offline mode can be very crucial. Another thing is secure and compliant with any sort of regulatory needs. For ours, we have 21 CFR Part 11, GLP, things like that. Another one is having data come in another way than having somebody on a tablet typing it in. So whether that's APIs, having data be imported or exported, or even just have documents uploaded for later use.
Yep. And Todd's saying I collect data with computer code in most cases from online sources. So that's great. I appreciate that. And I want to share this for everybody. Let's close this out. Look at this. 100% spreadsheets. Shock. Where's our shock face? We knew that was coming. But as you know, and also there's 50% that requires GLP, which is good lab practices, which you built. That's what it's built on, right?
Right.
That's right.
Right. And then sometimes 50% is yes, sometimes, and then 25% no. So there are times when you just might be collecting data for something that doesn't require the scientific methodology process, but it doesn't hurt, does it?
No. In fact, the methodology is really about just really taking ownership and thinking about the responsibility to collect data, and to do it in such a way that at least you know that it's you've thought everything out. That's why Daniel's talking about the key objectives from design through.
And so if we're looking at this so we got the data, right? And a lot of folks doing it on spreadsheet and other ways, email, paper form, still using paper.
Sure.
Still folks using paper. And this isn't shocking because we know you guys see this all the time, right? So you collect the data, then we get into the management. Tell us, the bullet 4 kind of has multiple aspects to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, bullet 4 though kind of summarizes, what are you going to do with that data now that you have all that data, now that you've been methodical about all the steps up to getting the data collected? How are you basically going to communicate that data? Whether this looks like a report or if you're just looking at a spreadsheet, whatever it is, email, that kind of thing. It's going to be a lot harder, like you said, if you have all your data on paper to, now you got to scan it and put it into a PDF and email it. Yeah,
Yep,
exactly. Yep. Transpose, those kind of things. It becomes a little easier with Excel, but even then you got to format things and you got to do a lot of manual work. Having your data at your fingertips and having to generate reports by hand is cumbersome.
Yeah.
So, we think it's very important to have some sort of automated way to get that data out there.
So first thing is to collect it. Second thing is to manage it. And then we're going to talk about what you do with it and ultimately how you're going to make those decisions. There's great questions about that coming in. How can I use this? This comes from Shay, to solve the climate conundrum, great word, via data-driven decision making. That's exactly what you want. Isn't that right?
Yeah, it's going to be hard to make an analysis on data that you can't pull together easily, or that is not pulled together, rather.
And what was the GLP response we saw before? I mean, GLP, it almost implies directly that it has to be auditable. That means when someone changes data, if they're in Excel and they change data, you have to be able to say, hey, who are you and why are you changing this data?
What makes you think you can do that? So, and that gets us to getting back to what we talked about originally. We want to get the value out of the data, right, Jamie?
That's right. We're going after that data as an entity, as a value, as something that costs money to collect.
And time. And effort.
So the responsibility of collecting that data, the responsibility to say we're going to collect it, this is how we're going to do it, and thinking about all the potential. Those things are expensive, right? Planning each one out, sending an email out to hundreds of people. It ends up being that if you have to ask for it again, it's more emails, but it's more time and such of people. Mm-hmm. And it's then you have the case of what happens if people are confused and they enter the wrong data. And now the data scientist is sitting there trying to differentiate of, why do I have this anomaly here? Why is this so far outcast from the other? And having to explain it.
And just like we're talking about unstructured data, Sean was talking about this, mistakes in the data are really expensive on the back end. It is one of the most challenging things that all the agencies are doing with all their big data initiatives is and they're leaning on AI. They're talking about, using algorithms and all that. That's great. But man, wouldn't it be better if the data was clean from the beginning?
Well, not only clean data, but to understand the data, to know what they were originally thinking, why they collected it, how they broke it up. what were the potential values that should be in there, and what were the values that were entered that maybe should not be in there, and should have been recognized as such.
And so then we get it to how do we communicate the data? And the reason we're asking this is because we know, first of all, as we're collecting this information, we're going to assemble this as part of our response and as part of our pilot to say the why. It's the front end, right? That's what you're doing. You're going to submit this. The why is you need to have it sewn up when you start it. Get a good design, right, Daniel?
That's right.
And then you want to be able to make it easy for everybody to get that data and make the data useful from the start to the finish and reusable so that it applies and meets the requirements of the e-enterprise initiative, right? So if you're communicating this data, one of the things you know a lot about is data the way that EPA or FDA wants to see it, because that's what you've been doing for decades, right?
Right. Yeah, we've all been there having to format a Word document, format Excel spreadsheets and stuff. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't enjoy doing that type of work. And it can be really, repetitive. And I don't know, if I had to do that all day, every day for my job, I don't know how long I'd last. But we, wouldn't we all love to have just a click of a button, having these reports being generated? And that's kind of the dream that was designed right into our product. And, regardless of, like Jamie said, of what software you're using, what process you're using to collect your data, being able to get reports out quickly without having to contact IT to have them design a template or things like that. It's really important to be able to do them quickly. Whether it's just text, tables, images, whatever the format is, the synopsis of this whole screen is to be able to do reporting in an easy way.
And I'm going to take a look at this. So 80% said that they manage this in review meetings. And that's an onerous way to be managing data, isn't it?
That's a challenge, yeah.
It's a challenge.
But they're doing it for clarity, right? They're trying to communicate it and have ownership, collaboration. But what we've found over years is that oftentimes, if I ask 3 scientists to produce three reports over time of the same data, we will get 3 very differentiated reports. And so our tool was made so that there's a certain kind of repetitive effort on how we make it look and feel. And that way, if it's right once, we can keep sending out our updates that way. We also do things ad hoc. We also have those cases. We're well aware that my boss will walk in on Monday after I've just released a collection and ask, how is this going? Well, I need to find out. I want to see what is going on out in the world. We run scientific trials all over the world, so we're always wanting to know what's going on.
I love it. So some of the key takeaways for folks and why we're doing this to help you understand what the data collection process to actually participate, right?
That's right.
And we want you to understand that it was built for you guys with scientific methodology.
That's right. With the science mind in place. That's what we decided that this, after these many years, works. And so we're after that, those potential pilots that we could talk to that could strengthen up the use of this type of platform. Yep. That's a we even think multi-agency type solution. It's good design equals good data. We all know that. If we spend enough time in design, we will end up with good data later. And a data scientist who's probably not even hired yet will thank us if we do that well. And we actually record our data well. You can't successfully scale bad data. In other words, if you start collecting bad data now, I promise you it gets even worse as you continue the collection.
That's true.
So what we're looking for is to find something that fits well for our pilot.
Yep. And we want to help you do that. So if you're interested in being part of a pilot, and again, this is going to EPA e-enterprise committee, right? Is that what it is?
Leadership Council. Yep.
Leadership Council. So and there's no cost to you in the agency because it's gonna get funded, or you're part of the agency. It's gonna get funded from the pilot from eEnterprise. So if you're interested, we'd love to have you included. And if you have any questions, that now's a great time to be able to interact. I know, Todd, you're saying you collect data with computer code. If you'd like to talk about how that works and how that can be incorporated, that'd be great. Love to talk with you guys about that. As I mentioned earlier, as with any briefing and with GSA, you're not under an obligation to purchase from anybody. You might want to start one right now and want to bypass the pilot. We've had people do that with you and talk with you directly. That's what this is about. You can reach out to them. You're a small business in Cary, North Carolina, right, guys?
And we love to talk about problems. We love to see where there's potential. So
no
feel
doubt
free.
about it. Yep. And so if you're interested in that, well, if you're possibly, we have folks that have answered that they're interested. So we want to make sure that you get included. A recap email will be coming out with the presentation, all the rest of the stuff with the handouts. I'll pop those in one more time. You have access to the handouts right now. And as well as being able to meet up with Daniel and Jamie. Just go ahead and absolutely, you can reach out to them directly. There's their contact information right there. And we'll keep this short for you guys so that you can get back to work. We want to make sure you knew that's what it's all about. You're certainly welcome. Thank you very much. Any parting comments from you guys for being able to help folks that are here?
I have none. Other
No,
than thanking everyone. Yes. And please let us know about what's going on. We'd love to discuss potential. That is, we learned so much from you guys. Let me tell you that over the past year.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about, being able to help you fill in the gaps between, because we know that they're there. And we know what, and the only reason I know about this, because I've done this with you guys, and I know what the problems with spreadsheets create. We've talked about that multiple times, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And being able to alleviate at least some of it. You can't take away all the craziness, but you can at least help with some. So we really appreciate you guys joining us. And please take advantage of the pilot and at least discussion of the pilot. Even if it's just a tidbit that you want included, that's a beautiful thing, right? Right, Jamie?
That's right.
You bet. Natasha, you are welcome. We'll get you guys out of here. Thank you so much. Great job again, fellas.
Appreciate it, Dave.